Hello everyone, this is Father Fadie, and today I want to talk to you about the problem that we're facing today of most of us not being able to go to Mass, not being able to attend the Mass, and mostly not being able to receive the body of Jesus. What are ways that we can do instead of just sitting passive and not receiving Jesus? I think the Church gives us many ways that we can still participate at Mass and benefit from the graces of Mass. Many of us think that we go to Mass only to receive Jesus. We're just attending the Mass so we can receive something. However, the Church teaches that at Mass we're offering Jesus, and along we're offering ourselves too. That's what the Mass is. And maybe today we live in times where we're so focused on what can I get from this? What is it for me in this? And we forget to say, what can I give? And so I want to talk more about that giving aspect. Even though we can't be at Mass, we can still do it. We can still offer ourselves and offer Jesus at every Mass that takes place, wherever it is in the world, by being aware of it and uniting our intentions with the intentions of the Church. So here's how it goes. As baptized Christians, we can offer ourselves with the body of Christ that's being offered on the altar. You, as a baptized person, can do that. At Mass, we don't just wait until we receive the communion to participate at Mass. That's not what happens. We're not just watching the Mass. It's another big, important point. But we're participant with the priest in offering the Mass, in offering the sacrifice of Jesus to God the Father. In Mass, Christ offers himself as a sacrifice. And so, when we come to Mass and participate in it, our goal is to become like him and offer ourselves for the salvation of the world. Your point, your goal of going to Mass is to become like Jesus. You receive Jesus and you want to become like him. Now, how do you become like him? By offering yourself too, because that's what Jesus does. Jesus at Mass is offering himself as a sacrifice. Here's what Pope Benedict says. He says, a good understanding of active participating in Mass means to be conformed to Christ at Mass, to become like Christ at Mass who offers himself. So a person that comes to Mass and wants to actively participate at Mass is a person that is thinking, how can I be like Jesus? How can I become like Jesus? The priest is not alone in offering the Mass. You too, you're offering the Mass with Jesus. This is not about the priest preparing a meal for you and then only at the end you receive it. No. You're with the priest preparing this in a different way, but you're still active. The people are active by exercising what we call their baptismal priesthood. We're all, in a sense, priests. People, all in a sense, are priests. Not ordained priests, we have to make that distinction, but they participate in the priesthood of Jesus Christ. Not all offer the body of Christ as the priest does. We have to make sure we keep that clear. But they offer their own bodies in unity with the offering of Christ's body by the priest. The Church offers Jesus' body to the Father at Mass, and you join the Church by offering Jesus' body plus your body. St. Paul says, offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, your spiritual worship. This offering of yourself can be done at all times. This is important. You don't have to wait to be at Mass to offer yourself to God. You don't need to be at Mass to do that. Only by knowing that there is a Mass being offered, you can offer yourself. And at this point, our diocese is offering Masses at 10 a.m. and they're live streamed every day. And I'm sure there's many other private Masses being offered by other priests. So by knowing that, you can still be united to that Mass and offer yourself with the Christ that's being offered and offering your body. When priest says, this is my body at Mass, repeating the words of Jesus, think of it as this. Think of it as Christ saying it about your body. So as you're watching a Mass, right? Time comes where the priest lifts up the bread and says, this is my body. Think of it as Christ saying it about your body. Jesus from within your body, so you're baptized, you have Jesus inside of you. And Jesus from within your body says, this is my body. He's offering your body with His. You're being united with Him, and both of you are being offered to the Father. Therefore, He just needs your consent to do that. You need to allow Jesus. Jesus is not going to force Himself upon you. He just needs you to say yes. Jesus asks you to become His body in this world. You need to become the body of Jesus in this world. He asks you to give Him flesh in this world. You become the flesh of Jesus in this world. By saying yes, here's who you're imitating, the Blessed Mother. The Blessed Mother, when she was at the Annunciation, the angel asked her to give flesh to Jesus. God is asking her to give flesh to Jesus, and she says yes. She consents to that. And so you too, when the priest says, "This is my body," you can say, "I allow Jesus to offer my body with His." You say yes to Jesus to be offered to the Father. This offering can be done in a more powerful way when you allow your pains too to be united to Jesus' pains, especially in this time where you're going through a lot of pain, spiritual, physical, emotional. Your body's in pains. Like I said, spiritual, physical, psychological, bodily sickness, spiritual dryness and desolation, thoughts of worry, anxiety, depression, all these things that trouble your soul. And so uniting those becomes very powerful to Jesus. As the priest says, "This is my body," you can allow Jesus within you to lift your body plus your pains and say, "This is my body." The pain within you unites you even closer to Jesus. Jesus can't suffer. This is clear. He cannot suffer anymore on this earth because He is risen. But He can suffer in you. By allowing Him to offer your pain, you're allowing Christ to take your pain and lift it up as His own pain. Your body, in a sense, is being crucified when you allow Jesus to lift you and your pain up. You become the new Calvary, and your home becomes the new Calvary, and you become the cross. So your home becomes that church where you're being offered, and you become that cross of Jesus that's being offered. You may practice this at any time. As I said, this is very important. Practice this at any time. Since there's always a Mass being offered, you can always say, "Lord," pause a moment, "Lord, I unite myself with whatever Mass is being offered at this point, and wherever that Mass be. And as that priest is saying, 'This is my body,' I allow you to say that about my body." Saints practice this in many different ways. They allowed themselves to be a Eucharistic offering. They allowed themselves to become a Eucharistic offering. For example, St. Ignatius did this in a marvelous way. When he was being killed, he told his people, "Don't intervene to stop my martyrdom." He said, "I am the wheat of the Lord. May I be ground by the teeth of the beast to become the immaculate bread of Christ." He allowed himself to be like the Eucharist offered for God. St. Polycarp says his church actually saw him as a Eucharistic offering. He was being burned, and the fire that was surrounding him, they saw it as his body was like a bread that was being baked and being offered to God. St. Gregory says this: "We must sacrifice ourselves to God each day and everything we do, accepting all that happens to us for the sake of the Word, imitating His passion by our sufferings, and honoring His blood by shedding our own blood. We must be ready to be crucified." Therefore, offering yourself and your pain unites you to Jesus in the most beautiful and powerful way. We have to be clear to say that there's nothing like receiving the Eucharist. I understand. We're not trying to say this is more important than receiving the Eucharist. The body of Jesus is essential. But times that we're living in, that we cannot get to Mass and receive the body of Jesus, our bodies, by allowing them to be offered to God, can be a Eucharistic offering. Mary is a perfect example of this. She stood by the cross and she offered her Son, Jesus, to the Father, and along she offered herself too. Mary under the cross did not receive the body of Jesus, but it was the most beautiful and perfect Mass she was participating in. And that was by offering Jesus, her Son, giving him to the Father, and then offering herself too. That's why Simeon told her before that a sword will pierce your heart. And that was the pain that she was experiencing, because she was offering her son and offering herself. Therefore, when you offer Jesus and yourself at Mass, you're joining Mary at Calvary in offering Jesus yourself. Here's a few prayers you can say to help you with the offering of yourself to Jesus. This is a short one, and it goes like this. I am all yours, Jesus, through Mary, your mother. I am all yours, Jesus, through Mary, your mother. Another one, I offer myself to you, O Lord, deliberately, freely, and without reservation, and with you to the Father as a voluntary victim unto the cross, for the sanctification and salvation of all whom the Father loves. Finally, I want to leave you this quote by St. Chrysologus. It's a beautiful quote about what God really looks at. God in all of this is looking at your heart. He's not counting how many times you get to receive Jesus or not, but He's looking at what's happening in your heart at this point. And here's what the saint says. He says, let your heart be an altar. Let your heart be an altar. Then, in full confidence in God, present your body for sacrifice. God desires not death, but faith. God thirsts not for blood, but for self-surrender. God is appeased, not by slaughter, but by the offering of your free will. So let's ask for the intercessions of the Blessed Mother so that we too can be joined her offering of Jesus, her Son, and ourselves.